The spiny bush viper has been an interesting new addition to Super Auto Pets because of this weird mechanic where you want to find a way to make it faint from the backline. So many YouTubers and arena players have attempted to find their build. And when I threw my hat into the ring, I stumbled upon the unexpected Trio of Death. Oh yes, gamers, the aforementioned Trio of Death will appear in this video, a beautiful run, that'll be happening in the background, but I wanted to talk about something a little bit different first. So, when this run happened, and it finished, I thought, God, that was a good trio. But it's not the best trio. It's not the best trio of all time. And then naturally, the next thought was, what is the best trio of all time? I'm going to attempt to answer that today. Why is my webcam sideways? Yes, the top 10 trios of all time. So if you ever have this thought in the future, fear not, you can come back to this video. And after minutes and minutes, I was going to say hours, that's a lie, of research, here are the top 10 greatest trios of all time. Number 10, Ash, Brock, and Misty. So of course, the Pokemon trio. There are many reasons why they deserve the top 10. International popularity, they had grit, they had versatility, gender, equality, and representation. This was a time where you wouldn't have expected the third character to be female, but it was. But they didn't see Misty for being female. They saw her for her Pokemon catching and training abilities. And her water type, incredible. I was a big fan of, obviously, Ash Ketchum, incredible. But Brock, I was a big fan of Brock. Actually, I went to a dress-up day in grade 2, dressed as Brock. And there are pictures of me from that day. You know, Brock has no visible eye. So I was doing, it didn't age well, but I didn't know any better. That's the 10th greatest trio of all time. Number 9. Number 9. Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman. Now, you might have expected this to be higher on the list, but you'll understand later why they fall at number 9. Look, 6 championships over like a 8-year period. The only reason they didn't win championships is because Jordan went to play baseball, gambling fiasco. Look, these guys are the epitome of team sports winning. It's Michael Jordan. And Scottie Pippen, the ultimate Robin, could have been his own Batman, stayed there. Look, it tells you how strong the list is when they fall at number 9. Now on to number 8. Earth, Wind, and Fire. The band. Not the elements. But because of the elements, I'm considering that a trio. And then you'll say, but they had 9 members. And I'll say, those 9 members to me represented the 3 elements. And I was gonna say that they were like racially diverse. And then I looked at the photo as I was making that preview you just saw. And, no, I thought there was a white guy. Not that that matters, like, I found that interesting. Number 7. Winston Churchill, Franklin Roosevelt, and Joseph Stalin. So if you want to talk about the modern era, you'd struggle to find impacts bigger than these 3. They were playing, a serious opposition. And they came together to get the job done. Incredible trio. Why they didn't rank higher in my list has to do with the fact that they weren't actually really working collectively towards something long term. It was just for that moment. So they earned 7 on the list. They could have been higher if they maybe stuck together, but longevity matters to me. And so they fall down. Number 6. Harry Potter, Hermione Granger, and Ron Weasley. It's pretty hard to argue with them being lower than 6, 7 at the lowest, I think. Because as children, they managed to find their way into good young adults and defeat Voldemort. And I don't think the previous members of the list, although I show respect to them, I don't think they could have handled Voldemort. And actually, to take it a step further, they were also in many ways contending with Dumbledore, the worst headmaster in the history of headmasters. He is the most reactive person I've ever seen. Never proactive, just pure reactive. They had to just get ahead of something once in your life, Dumbledore. And Harry and Hermione and Ron were dealing not only with the incompetency of Dumbledore, but also dealing with Voldemort. Like, even stronger opposition than what I said at number 7. Moving on. Number 5 in the greatest trios of all time. Past, present, and future. Now look, they're just 3 of the classic features of time. Past, present, and future. A real staple of all of our experiences. Couldn't put it higher than 5 on the list because time is a man-made construct. It's a flat circle. Doesn't exist. How many times have we had this conversation? So for that reason, it sticks at 5. It's a strong 5. I respect past, present, and future, but couldn't put it higher. Number 4 on the greatest trios of all time. Star Wars episodes 4 to 6. So it's confusing. If you don't know, like the first 3 Star Wars that were released are now considered to be episode 4, 5, and 6 because the later trilogy is a prequel. Star Wars changed cinema as we know it. Absolutely changed it. These are not the droids you're looking for. The sand people are easily startled, but they'll be back and in greater numbers too. Just a classic. And he doesn't like grains of sand. That was from episodes 1 to 3. Disregard, it's Star Wars. I think you'd struggle to put it... looking at my list here, I can't see it cracking the top 3, but I can't see it going lower than 4. And now to number 3. Knives, forks, and spoons. Now this is a controversial pick for me personally because I grew up in a spork household. We had knives, we had spoons, but we didn't really have forks, we had sporks. But nonetheless, I have strep throat, by the way. Like and subscribe. Yeah. So I think knives, forks, and spoons is the first option so far that could genuinely be number 1. Anything Star Wars to Ash, Brock, and Misty, I would dismiss. But I think you can make a case for knives, forks, and spoons. Like, I'll hear you out. Just a crucial part of any eating or kitchen experience. Why it didn't get number 1 is because things like chopsticks or just eating with your right hand in many cultures exist, so not quite universal enough for me. Number 2. Bread, butter, and Nutella. It's unbeaten. It's truly unbeaten as a food. Bread, butter, and Nutella. Any time of the day, any physical, any way that you're feeling, Nutella, bread, and butter is what you need. It's sweet, it's filling enough, but it's not too filling. It gives you a little sugary hit. Had to be above knives, forks, and spoons, but couldn't quite crack my number 1. But I think we can all agree that it has a deserving place on this list. And now before I actually get to my number 1 option, here are some honorable mentions. And I'll try to go through these fairly quickly. Mark Antony, Cleopatra, and Julius Caesar. So I think in terms of being historically known, they have to feature in this list. They are as well known and across a long series of time. However, they weren't really a trio. They were connected, but they weren't really working in unison. So no good. Next is Destiny's Child. Powerful group from the early 2000s, late 90s, but the reason they didn't feature on the top 10 is because the main part of Destiny's Child that we all know is Beyonce, and she had her success after Destiny's Child, so not going to make it. We also have Messi, Suarez, and Neymar. They only played together for 3 years, so best soccer trio ever, probably, but longevity not there. Next is Newton's laws of motion. Considered it strongly, but here's the issue, right? Isaac Newton, just a nerd sitting under a tree, looking at apples fall. But personally, if I was Isaac Newton, I would have been in the gym hitting PBs. You know what I'm saying? So he's not on the list. And then the final two, these two were excluded. Both very worthy number ones, but I excluded them, and here's why. First is I have to pause. I'm so back. The first exclusion is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And I have to pause again. Okay, it turns out it's just my wife annoying me. The first exclusion, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And I respect Christianity, massive amounts of respect, but I figured I'd keep religion off the list. But a worthy number one, of course. And the next exclusion, which really should be number one, is protons, neutrons, and electrons. I feel like this was similar to my parrot pick in the top 10 Super Auto Pets. It's everything, but it's nothing. Decided this time I won't do parrot number one or the equivalent. So protons, neutrons, electrons not going to make it. And now finally, the number one greatest trio in history. It is the red, the white, and the blue of the United States of America flag. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed? That was the top 10 greatest trios in history.